Now, you all remember 2010 was not exactly our high water year as Democrats. And if you look across this country, a lot of good people lost their seats in 2010. Now, as the first Democrat ever to represent the 1st Congressional District here in New Mexico, there were some folks who were willing to predict my demise as a one-term congressman a little bit early. But all of you made sure it didn't happen. And we won that election in 2010. In the toughest electoral environment in 40 years. And you know how we did it? We stuck with the courage of our convictions. We stood up for our democratic values. And when other people got rattled by the Tea Party, we were still willing to hold the insurance companies accountable and not apologize for saying we needed to reform health care in this country. And we never apologized for taking on those Wall Street banks at a time when they were putting too many New Mexicans' pensions, homes, mortgages at risk. That's the kind of races that we're going to have to run in 2012 to make sure that we carry this state from top to bottom, that we have a Democratic U.S. Senator to work with Tom Udall, and that's the kind of race that every one of us candidates is committed to doing this year. Now, some of you know that I'm running for U.S. Senator this year. If you want to know what kind of senator I'm going to be, look at those votes from the last 3 years. But also look at my family and where I came from. I learned my democratic values the way that many of you did, at the kitchen table. My father was an IBEW lineman. Here, here. Is labor in the house? Amen. I see some teachers. Who else do we have? Is Ashby in the house? The trades? Now my mom, she worked in factories. She was a seamstress back when Levi's used to be made in the United States. She worked in the auto industry. But she didn't have access to collective bargaining. And I saw firsthand the difference that that makes. And I can tell you that all my parents really wanted, after decades of working hard and playing by the rules, what they wanted from this country was for their kids to have a better life. For myself and my sisters to be able to go to college if we wanted to be able to pay off a modest home after decades and decades of paying into a mortgage, and for programs like Medicare and Social Security that are under attack today to be there for them when they retire. If you want to understand the difference between our party and this new Tea Party Republican Party, look at what they're proposing for Medicare. Privatizing Medicare, handing it over to the very insurance companies that screwed up our health care system in this country in the first place. Now they'll tell you that you've got to do this. You've got to do this so that we can balance the budget. I'm here to tell you that we have to balance the budget, but that's the wrong way to do it. We're going to balance the budget. We're going to do it by rolling back those Bush tax breaks for people like Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich. We're going to do it by bringing all those men and women, many of which have finally come home from Iraq, many of which have served in Afghanistan for over 10 years, longer than we were in World War II. We're going to do it by bringing them home to their families. And we're going to take those dollars and put them back to work rebuilding America.
Yeah!
And finally, we're going to balance our budget by making sure that every New Mexican who wants to work, who wants a job, can find work again in this country.
Yeah!
And as we recover our economy, I believe that as a party, that the Democratic Party has to stand up for an economy that doesn't just move money around on Wall Street, but an economy where we make things again in this country.
Yes.
Where we build things. Where we invest in our infrastructure and manufacture things. And if we do that, we will have the kind of economy, the kind of a nation that our children and grandchildren deserve to inherit. And together we will make sure that we carry on the great work and the great senators that we've had, like Senator Tom Udall, like Senator Jeff Bingaman, Senator Chavez, Senator Montoya, Senator Anderson. This has been a state that has shared much with the rest of the nation. Medicare. Senator Anderson was critical in passing Medicare. The Wilderness Act. Many things that this country holds dear came from Democratic New Mexico senators. And we're going to keep that up and make sure that Heather Wilson is unemployed again next year.
Okay.